after Flags came out, 4 years after the previous Albertine,
Yes.
you said, I definitely don't want 4 years between albums again. Huh?
Yes,
And that's what happened.
it is.
How come?
Well, things went... I mean, I suppose one thing with this cycle of a record is that the longer a cycle takes, usually that's an example, or not an example, but proof that it's kind of going well. Because if it wasn't going well and no one wanted to see you and no one wanted to talk to you, you would just stop and kind of start the cycle again.
What do you mean? Because you're so busy, it takes 4 years to make an album?
Because, so for example, so there was 4 years between Albertine and Flags because I toured Albertine.
Exhaustively.
2006, 2007, 2008.
Exhaustively.
Yes. So then, so that's kind of what happens. And then so 2010, end of 2010, Flags came out. I finished promoting it in 2012. Took a few months off and then started writing for this at the end of 2012. And so, and basically it was kind of, I knew that I wanted to do something different. It just took me a little while to figure out exactly what that looked like, what that sounded like, and to find the people with whom I could make that and articulate that, if you will.
It is different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's edgy. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah, sure.
Edgy?
Yeah.
You like that?
I like that.
I was listening to, your first, heard your entire oeuvre today, recapping on it, and I was listening to your first one, What to Do with Daylight, and it's so totally different. As you'd expect with the trajectory of a career, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so totally different. It's like you're trying on things ever since then.
Yeah,
In search of
I agree.
something.
I think hopefully the artist is always in search of new ways to articulate new things. And so certainly, I kind of consider myself a songwriter first and foremost. I kind of bristle when I'm described as a singer because it's just not how I see myself. I don't put that much thought into vocals or voice or all of those things. I suppose my voice has always just been the vehicle with which I use to express my songs and these lyrics and these melodies that I've crafted. And so
You could always get somebody else to sing them.
I could, but they're so, and I think I will, and I'm interested in doing that. And certainly I've written so much material in the past few years leading up to this new album that hasn't found a home on this project. So, perhaps they will find their home somewhere else. But often, the themes that I write about are so personal and particular that, for example, I don't think another artist would have liked to be singing Albertine, nor would it have made sense for anybody else to sing that but me. But I suppose, I see myself as a songwriter first, and I enjoy and love and hate and am frustrated by and exhilarated by songcraft. And so it's kind of, I like to get inside songs and look at the skeletons and perform autopsies and kind of, so over the years, I suppose I've examined who am I as a songwriter, what can I do? I think I will always be doing that, and it's taken longer for me to figure out the artist side of that as opposed to the songwriter thing. Who is Brooke Fraser as an artist, and how am I honing that and her?
Since Flags came out, of course, there's been laud and a whole new way of selling or not selling music. The industry's changed. Has that worried you at all?
No. I feel very fortunate that my identity and my centre is not entirely tied up in my vocation. So it gives me a certain sense of freedom creatively, in that I'm a little que sera about the results of what happens after I put out the album. I feel like my job is to create an album and a piece of art that is true to me, and true to my search and my exploration, and the rest will be what it will be.
So you're not trying to please the audience?
I think the audience, of course I think of the audience, but I can't, it escapes me now who said it, but, and I think it's actually debated who said it originally, but that art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. And so I feel that's my responsibility as an artist to do both, to comfort people and to disturb them, to provide a window of hope and also to provoke and question.
You've usually been described as Brooke Fraser, Christian singer-songwriter. And I wondered how you felt about that.
Disappointed.
Yeah.
Limited.
I can imagine.
Pigeonholed.
Why do you think... I mean, I know a lot of your songs are about God, and you're also affiliated to a church, or you have been, and you wrote a lot of songs about the group associated with that church. Still do, as far as I know. I don't know. But I don't know why people seem to remark on it quite so much.
Neither do I.
And it's not just you. I mean, anybody
Yeah.
who declares themselves a Christian is immediately put in the Christian music pigeonhole, as you say.
Yeah.
Any ideas why? I think you said something a while back. If you were a Buddhist, people would just go, oh, she's spiritual.
Yeah, that's true.
But as a Christian, it's not quite that sexy.
No,
Is that what it is?
It's terribly unchic. But, you know, all of us, hopefully, not all of us in terms of Christians, but all of us as humans believe what we believe because we have found it to be true in our own lives, not because it's a chic or sophisticated thing. And so that's certainly true for me. But yeah, it's frustrating. You know, I even in another country, which shall remain nameless, a radio station that shall remain nameless, someone... apparently the person who makes the decisions about the playlists said, you know, not in writing but verbally to somebody who was bringing one of my songs to them, that they would never play me because of my association with my faith or how I express it. And
I don't think Van Morrison experienced that issue, did he?
No.
I don't think Bob Dylan experienced that issue. So maybe, is it a female thing? I don't know.
Well, we could talk through a whole world about what it is to be a female in the music industry. Certainly.
Well, we could. How is it being a female in the music industry?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's my only experience. I've only been a female this whole time. But it's interesting, but it's still, I think people would find it surprising how antiquated some of the attitudes are towards being a woman, and how in certain studio environments your opinion is somehow seen as lesser, and how if my name is, for example, even, talking about my albums through the years, people have said to me, so who produced your music or who wrote your music, as if to say, what man helped you create this? And, you know, it was such a joy making this album, producing it together with David Costin, because there was just not even a whiff of that. It wouldn't even occur to him to diminish my opinion or my skill because of my gender.
He's your co-producer on this.
Yes, yeah.
How did you come to work with him? Because he's based in London, right?
He's based in London.
I mean, you are all over the show.
Yeah, it really was.
We'll talk about your various places on the itinerary the last few years. But how did you find him in London?
He was actually, I think, when I first started kind of dreaming and conceptualising the project, and asked, you know, some of my trusted people, you know, to throw names in the hat so we could start, you know, investigating people and looking into people. And I think his name came up early on, but at the time I thought that the sound I was going for was slightly different to what it ended up being. And so it wasn't until probably a year and a half on when his name came up again, and I looked into him again, and I thought, well, this is perfect. So it's funny timing, things like that. And so I basically cold called him and on the phone, asked him over the phone, will you make an album with me? And he was a bit taken aback. And
he knew you?
He knew me, yeah. But he kind of said, you know, well, don't you want to try a song, you know, first and see if we get along and see if it works? And I said, no, let's just do it. And I think he was so stunned that he hastily agreed. And then
why were you so sure that he was the one you wanted to work with?
I have these, I don't know, I have hunches about things, and so I kind of go with them, and so far that has panned out.
The point's been made